In this video, we're looking at the perfect intervals of a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth, as well as the interval that lies in between those two, known as an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Perfect intervals always have a very consonant sound to my ears. You could also call it maybe hollow or possibly angular. There's not a lot of character, which is why in old systems of music they were really featured a lot, because to our ears they seem very perfect and therefore have very little room for sin to enter the equation. As such, they kind of can be tricky to distinguish. Again, that fourth and the fifth sounds similar. A perfect fourth is equal to 5 half steps or 2 whole steps plus a half. This is 1 half step larger than a major third. And again, using a major scale, this would be the distance from the first scale degree up to the fourth. Okay, you're going to find that perfect fourth in the major scale. When it's written on the staff, it needs to be separated by 2 letters. So if you're starting on A as 1, 2, 3, 4 would bring you to D. So A to D would be a fourth. Starting here on the chart with C, we're going to go up 5 half steps to an F. And on the keyboard, that looks like this, C up to F. Of course, C major, being all the white keys on the piano, we start on C and just go up the fourth in that scale. We're going to end up with a perfect fourth every time. On the staff, it looks like this. We've skipped over a line and a space to get to the next line from C to F. Here's one that we're going to start on an E flat, and we're going to go, well, you could start on D sharp to G sharp or E flat to A flat to make sure that you've got a fourth going there. Again, starting on the D flat note, we're going to go up to the middle black key there, and we know if we call that an E flat, we have to go up to an A flat. We not go up to a G sharp because that would look like a third. Also in the bottom example, we've got D sharp to G sharp, not D sharp to A flat. That's actually written as a fifth. So there's this, kind of idea in music theory that the sound is a little bit separated from the look, because all of these examples will sound exactly the same when you play them, but they're all written 4 different ways. So is that enough to confuse you? Good. For a perfect fifth, that's equal to 7 plus 1 half step, or 3 whole plus a half. Written on the staff, they must be separated by 3 letters, of course, so you have a fifth. If we start on the note C and jump up, we're going to get to our G. On the musical keyboard, again, C major, we're using that scale, so if we just go from 1 to 5, that will automatically give us a perfect fifth. And written on the staff, it looks like this, and it sounds like this. Again, a very hollow, angular sound to my ears. Ooh, some half-step math. Perfect fourth equals 5 half steps. Perfect fifth equals 7 half steps. 7 plus 5 is 12. Uh-oh. These are complementary intervals here, which is another reason why they're difficult to hear. So, for instance, if you've got C to G, you've got a perfect fifth, but if we go from G up to C, we've got our perfect fourth. So again, they sound similar and can be difficult to distinguish. Yes, what does this mean? I have no idea what the slide is about. Oh, that's what I was just talking about. C up to G and then G up to C. Forgot. And if you look on the staff there, you can see that the C up to a C makes an octave, with the perfect fifth as the lower interval and the perfect fourth as the upper interval. It just stands to say that if you start on C and go up to F, there's your perfect fourth, and if you go from F up to C, there's your perfect fifth as well. So both of those inverse intervals can get very confusing. Now the good one, the augmented fourth and the diminished fifth. Yes, A4 or D5. This is right halfway between the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth. It's a half step larger than the perfect fourth, and obviously a half step smaller than the perfect fifth. This is a very dissonant, unstable interval on its own, but as a part of harmony, it's very useful. And this is equal to 6 half steps or 3 whole tones, which is where we get the word tritone. Tri from 3 and tone from the whole tone. No, that's called a triton, not a tritone. Although that does have 3 things, kind of like the devil's pitchfork. Ooh, scary. Move up 6 half steps from C for an augmented fourth or diminished fifth. So we've got C up to either F sharp or G flat, depending on how you're trying to write that. If you're trying to write it as an augmented fourth, of course, you're going to use F sharp. If you want to write that as a diminished fifth, you're going to use G flat. This is our perfect fourth, C up to F. And here's our C to G perfect fifth. And there it is, right in between, C up to F sharp or G flat. It's very interesting to note that if we start there and go up, well, we'll get to that later. So we've got C up to F sharp. And we've got C up to G flat. Same exact sound, but looks different on the staff. Both of those ways are correct based on what you're trying to write. Here's another example from C up to F sharp, G flat. What's an augmented fourth up from G flat, however? Isn't that a good question? Is it C? Yes, it is. It's exactly half of an octave because obviously it's 6 half steps and 6 plus 6 equals 12. That gives us our octave. So no matter which name you give them, they're still both called tritones. So you've got C up to F sharp up to C. Very, very demented sound there. There's one all-natural, just like my hair products, tritone on the keyboard. Do you know where it is? Well, it's between B and F natural, or F and B. Very exciting. So the augmented fourth, diminished fifth, same name for different names for the same thing, the tritone, a very unstable sounding interval, very dissonant. But when we start looking at harmony in the next unit, we're going to see just how useful that dissonance is to create resolutions to consonants. And that's also the name of my autobiography, Resolutions to Consonants.